Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content and 7 Bucks Productions. June 28th, 1778. The air in Monmouth, New Jersey is a thick, suffocating blanket. It is over 100 degrees, a record-breaking heat wave that is killing men where they stand before a single shot is even fired. The dust kicked up by thousands of boots creates a choking haze, but through the brown cloud, the sight is even worse. The Continental Army is in full, panicked retreat. George Washington sits atop his white charger, a towering silhouette of controlled fury. He has spent a brutal, starving winter at Valley Forge molding these men from a ragtag militia into a professional fighting force. He has cultivated an aura of invincibility, a belief that as long as he is on the field, the revolution cannot die. But right now, it is suffering in the dirt. Suddenly, Washington sees him, General Charles Lee, his second in command, leading the withdrawal. Lee, the man who was supposed to spearhead the attack, is falling back without a fight. Washington spurs his horse forward, his eyes blazing with a rage rarely seen by mortal men. He intercepts Lee in the middle of the road. The air seems to crackle. According to the men who stood nearby, Washington lets out a stream of swearing so epic, so creative, and so loud that it literally shakes the leaves on the trees. He doesn't just reprimand Lee, he dismantles him. He strips him of his command in front of the entire army. "I am taking over," Washington roars, his voice cutting through the chaos of the retreat. He turns his horse towards the oncoming British bayonets, the finest infantry in the world, and draws his sword. He doesn't look back to see if his men are coming. He knows they are. "Follow me." The effect is instantaneous. Men who were seconds away from throwing down their muskets and running for their lives stop. They turn. They see the tall man on the white horse charging into the mouth of the British lion. And they find a reserve of strength they didn't know they possessed. They aren't just a militia anymore. They are Washington's army. And today, they are not going to lose. Hello and welcome back to Badass of the Week, the show where we tell the badass history of badasses. We are here for our President's Day episode, and to help me tell the story of an original badass president, I have a very special guest. I would like you to please welcome actor, musician, YouTuber, EpicLLOYD from Epic Rap Battles of History. Lloyd, thank you so much for being here on the show. We can put it in post. I should be doing
I come with my own applause.
Yeah, man, I like the idea of running the canned applause. I should do that for myself every time.
I have one in my pocket and I just bring it everywhere I go when I enter any room. So thanks for having me, man.
Yes, absolutely. It's your, anytime you get a message from anytime you get a text, you could just play like applause.
Yes, I do it. And it like when my order is called at Starbucks, just
they have to write that on the side of the cup. Can I get a name for this order? It's 5 exclamation points.
And then in parentheses, have fun with it.
Yeah, just do what you got to do. You know, I mean, I know you're probably in acting class anyway. Just do it. Yeah, just go for it.
Only in LA. If you do that in South Carolina, they're like, what's going on?
Exactly. Well, Lloyd, I have to tell you that like I'm a huge fan of Epic Rap Battles of History from, I don't know, it's been going on for a while now, right? I've been doing Badass for 20 something years. I think you've been doing your show for about that amount of time, right?
Like 15, 16 years. Yeah. So yeah, we're OGs in the digital space.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sadly, I don't think I'd rather be a young G than an OG, but there we are.
I don't know how you would break in nowadays if you were trying to break into this. If somebody was like, I want to have like a successful podcast or I mean, I don't know how to make a successful podcast, but somebody was like, I want to make a successful long form history website where you write long things about historical figures. I wouldn't even know where to start to give you advice.
I know it. Like I'm trying to just stay in my lane. You know what I mean? Like that's
I was doing my stuff was in Notepad. It was a text file that I uploaded in Notepad. That was my website when I started it.
No way.
The GeoCities. Yep.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. You can't start like that anymore. That does not translate to the modern audience.
No, not at all. They're like, what's a website? I don't even know what that is.
Back in the old days, you had to know the name of a website that you wanted to go visit. You had to type it in by hand.
I've already stopped listening.
Well, Lloyd, I will say it's President's Day. We're doing a badass president, and you actually got to meet a president. I looked you up on your Wikipedia page. Has a picture of you with the president.
Yes, I got to meet Barack Obama in the White House in the Roosevelt Room. It was I brag about it a lot. It's good. It's good at parties. It's good at parties.
I would definitely talk about that all the time. I would definitely make that my Facebook profile picture forever.
Yeah. I will say though, like if you're going to go to the White House to meet the president, bring a suit jacket because I was in business cash and I look ridiculous. There's a whole picture of like 20 of us and everybody's in like suits and jackets. And there's Lloyd with like, I look like a substitute teacher or something. I don't know why I didn't bring a suit, but like, I'll
say two things. Number one being that for your Wikipedia entry, they cropped it well. So that it's just like Obama and you and everybody else is cropped out. So you don't look underdressed.
Yes.
Number two, I could argue that like you're a rapper. So like you were just being gangster or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. We'll go with that.
With a gold chain and like a basketball jersey.
Yeah. Oh, Barry? Was that? He did come in like, I will say that Barack Obama is the coolest person ever. He came in through a secret door in the wall and dapped everybody up by name around the table.
Oh, shoot.
And it was like, it was a star moment. It was so chill. He's like, what's up, Lloyd? I was like, what? And yeah, it was pretty great. Okay. So you're on the first name basis with the president. So you're the perfect person to come on and help me tell President's Day story. Obviously. Yeah. I get a Christmas card from him every year still.
Really?
Yeah. I think everybody he meets, they put him on a list, but I don't care. I still like it.
Shoot, I would still show that to people in my house.
Yeah, anytime I'm at Starbucks and they give me my order, I just put up that picture and applause, and then I'm good.
Yeah, just carry it around as your business card. It's Christmas card from Obama. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Do I get $1 off or something? Maybe.
Amazing. Okay, well, we're not talking about Obama today. We're talking about a guy who predates the Roosevelt Room and predates the White House and the Oval Office and all of this stuff. We're going to talk about, he's not only the father of the country, but he's also in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. Did you know that George Washington is in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame? Because he's an undefeated. I knew that. He's an undefeated wrestler. I thought that was
Abe Lincoln. I thought that was Abraham Lincoln.
Yes, there is the story about that. Lincoln was also a wrestler, and he was kind of popularized as like a badass wrestler. But George Washington is in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. He was undefeated for like years.
What would George Washington's like WWE character be? He would just come in with a flute, like come down. That would be awesome. And his move would have to be called the Revolution. Like definitely, whatever his
definitely revolves. You have to revolve a person around in a circle, right?
Yeah,
totally. It has to be some kind of like a spin maneuver.
Wow, was he like just a champion or something?
He was a champion, yeah. So back in these days, back before the internet, people settled their disputes by wrestling. And it was called collar and elbow wrestling. So you would grab the other guys, you'd line up against him, you'd grab his collar and his elbow, and he'd grab your elbow and your collar. And it was the first person to force 3 points of contact on the ground. So an elbow, a knee, you just had to shove the other guy down to the ground in some way.
Wow. And I gotta call a technicality though. Were there weight classes? Because George Washington was like 6'2", and that's like back then in like 1700s America, like you're barely eating 2 meals a week. So like, yes.
there is the theory that Goliath from the Bible was like 5'11". Like George Washington's 6'2" at a time when the normal person is like 5'5". And so there are not weight classes. He just stomped everybody because he was bigger and stronger than them.
You know what?
But that's the law of the jungle.
Yeah, exactly.
I win because I'm bigger than you and stronger than you.
It's like, all right, you win, champion. You win. I got to be by the champion. What are you going to do?
Okay, well, we're going to take a really quick break, and when we come back, we're going to tell the story of George Washington and how he ended up in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, and probably also how he won the American Revolution, became the first president, and, you know, all that other stuff. We'll be right back.
Right on.
Welcome back to Badass of the Week. I am here with EpicLLOYD from Epic Rap Battles of History.
Hey.
We are going to start in 1732. George Washington is born February 22nd, 1732 in Pope's Creek, Westmoreland County, Virginia. And if that sounds like the frontier, it really was at the time. If that sounds like the middle of nowhere, it kind of was in 1732. This part of the world is basically the old west of the colonies. And, you know, George Washington's from he's from a pretty well-off family. They have a big farm, they have a big area, but he is, you know, this is anything that's like not oceanfront property in what is now the United States at this time is the Old West. Is the frontier.
It's just like deep forest kind of Virginia too. Like it's not like the desert. It's like, I mean, just woods and like crazy animals and just the wild.
Yes, it's the wild. It's literally unmapped, right? They don't even know what's on the other side of the Appalachian Mountains because
it's like the reason they made Rhode Island so small. They're like, it can't be too big, and they're like, we'll just make it like this big.
How big can this landmass be? Croatia's only like the size.
Matter of fact, there's probably an island, so we'll just stop right here.
Yeah, we'll call it Rhode Island. It's probably at some point we're
bigger than Delaware. That's all we need.
Yes, so he's from a pretty well-off family, but he's one of the younger. He's got a bunch of half brothers. So his dad was married before his mom. His half brothers, they all get to go off to fancy schools in England. But when George is 11, his dad dies. And, you know, there's no more money for him to go have a fancy education. He has to stay home and help his mom on the farm. All his half brothers are off doing, you know, traditional British colonial gentlemanly things. And this is going to kind of shape George a little bit because he's kind of a hard ass and he's going to be famous for being like a stoic hard ass. And a lot of that comes from like, he is from this family that's very like well-bred and, you know, well-educated. And he's not. He didn't get to go to school because he had to stay home and help his mom. And he knows he's not the smartest guy in the room. So he's going to make up for it by being like the most stoic, disciplined, toughest. It's that thing of like, if you don't talk that much, people think you're smart, like that kind of thing.
Right. Don't mess it up. And then you're like, fake your way through it. Well, how many brothers and sisters did he have, do you think? Okay,
so he has 4 half brothers from his dad's first marriage, and 1 sister and 3 brothers, and then he's got 5 younger brothers and sisters from his dad's second marriage. So there's a lot of kids involved here, but he's kind of the oldest of the second marriage, and now he's got to do, you know, he's 11. So
yeah, all of a sudden you have a bunch of new brothers and sisters, like
a lot of babies, and he's the eldest that's still left. That's intense. Now, the chopping down the cherry tree story of like, I can't tell a lie, I chopped down, like that was made up way later. That's not a true story about George Washington. Yeah. So I think that's becoming more well-known, but he did kind of decide he was going to be the man of the family. So at age 13, there was a fancy book at the time. It was called The Rules of Civility and Decent Behavior in Company and Conversation. And it had 110 rules, and he wrote them all down by hand so that he could remember them.
Gosh, what are they like? Open the door for your mother. Like eat with your left hand and cut with your fork and knife, stuff like that.
Don't kill fleas in front of people. Don't spit in a fire.
Real?
I'm not joking. Those are rules that he wrote down, and he probably never spit in a fire in his whole life.
So rather than kill a flea in front of someone, suffer with an infestation of fleas on your body, but you know, chill.
Excuse yourself to the bathroom, kill the flea in the bathroom.
Right. Also, what's a bathroom in 17?
Right, yes, excuse yourself to the outhouse.
Oh, man.
And then, like you said, he's 6'2". He's a giant at the time, right? He's super strong. He's doing all this heavy farm work. He's running the house by himself at, he's the man of the house at 11. He's learning wrestling. He's training himself to be like ride horses. Thomas Jefferson said he was, quote, the best horseman of his age and the most graceful figure that could be seen on horseback.
Yeah, he was apparently a great dancer.
Yes. Yeah, he was. Excellent body control. Like, he was a great fighter. And so all of this stuff.
He's like the John Jones of 1700.
Yeah. And being the greatest horseman at this time period is saying something, because the only way anybody got around, it's like being the best driver of a car. Yeah. Right. Yeah. He also gets into math and geometry and, like we said, color and elbow wrestling. He'll wrestle basically anybody that gives him a hard time for the rest of his life, and he'll never.
Any of you shorties want to wrestle me?
I will shove you down onto the ground.
Look, I don't know about you, but I am undefeated against kindergartners.
I'll wrestle any of you 5'5" guys. I promise you, I can put one of your knees on the ground. Exactly. Okay, at 16, he starts working as a surveyor in the wilderness of Virginia, because, like you said, nobody knows what's out there. So there's there's this guy, Lord Thomas Fairfax, which sounds extremely British.
It sounds like a Dungeons and Dragons character.
Yes, exactly. He is trying to map out the frontier because nobody knows what's out there past the Appalachians. So George is going out between the Potomac and the Rappahannock rivers, and he's charting all this stuff. And that sounds kind of boring and mathy because he's like a trigonometry nerd, but this is, like you said, wilderness, animals, cold, the elements,
it's like,
also
it's like The Revenant. It's like that.
Yes, it is. Right. You're out there, you're fighting rattlesnakes. You're sleeping on the ground during rainstorms. He's building his own shelters. He's eating only the things he can kill. He's carrying with him, surveying at the time required a big metal telescope and this thing called a Gunter's chain, which is like a 66-foot iron chain that you had to carry around.
Oh my
a specialized compass, all this stuff. He's dragging these through briars over cliffs, across rivers. Not to mention that he's discovering all of this land, but also people already live there and they don't want him to be there.
And they're not excited to see him.
Right. And they're like, get the hell out of here. And they're attacking him.
Oh my God. And then they're like, who's this giant person? Because I don't think Native Americans were that giant themselves, but wow. Is he doing this alone? Was he in a group of people when he's surveying, or is he
he's in a group of a small group of people. So, less than 10.
Yeah.
Right.
But also really learning the land so that when the British invade, he knows the land, or how to live there and stuff. That's really interesting.
Yeah, he gets this encyclopedic knowledge of the terrain and wilderness survival and all this. Something weird happens for him in 1751. His half-brother Lawrence gets tuberculosis, which is one of these things that people just got sick and died all the time, even if they were from fancy families. You would never want to go back in time. You would never want to go back in history. It sucks. Every time period before this sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Lawrence gets TB, and they say you should go to Barbados because there was this idea at the time that tropical climates and humidity helped you with your tuberculosis. So George goes with them. It's the only time he ever leaves the colonies. He's born in Virginia, and he will only ever leave what is now the United States one time, and it's to go to Barbados in 1751 to help his brother. And basically, right when he gets there, he gets smallpox. And almost dies. He's laid up for a month. He survives, but it gives him some scarring on his face, and his brother dies. His brother dies of TB. It doesn't cure that. And so that's just the worst trip ever. He's I'm never going back to Barbados.
Yeah, or anywhere.
Or anywhere. I'm never leaving the country again.
Just imagine you show up in a foreign country and then you're sick for a month and you don't speak the language there. You're like, help me, please. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
They made him different back then.
Exactly. So, okay. So 1750, the smallpox thing's going to come back. That's why this is an important story. But 1753, he's back in Virginia. He's 21 years old. And there's an issue here. The governor of Virginia is a guy named Robert Dinwiddie, and the British are building are exploring and developing Virginia, but you've got the French are in North America as well, and they're doing their own thing. And Governor Dinwiddie is the French are building forts on my land, and you need to go tell them to stop. So George volunteers for this because he's like an ambitious guy. He's like, all right, I want to do this. You know, I want to go have an adventure. So he signs on to go travel to Fort LaBeouf, like Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf.
Fort the Beef. Yeah, Fort the Beef. He's going to go there on a 1,000-mile round trip trek into the Ohio River Valley through uncharted territory with it's just him and this like very famous wilderness guide at the time, a guy named Christopher Gist, and then a Seneca chief named Tenasharison, the Half King, which sounds like a Lord of the Rings thing.
Yes, it does. For sure.
So he's called that. He's from the Seneca tribe. He is like a representative of the Iroquois Great Council. So he's called the Half King because he's like basically a governor. He can like make some decisions, but there are other decisions that he has to consult the council before he can make them. He can't declare war.
He's like a senator.
But he's the Half King, which is kind of a cool way of being a senator. Cool name for being a senator.
Yeah, for sure.
So they ride out to Fort LaBeouf, and George, this 21-year-old Virginia hillbilly guy, and he sits down with the French governor and is like, hey, the governor of Virginia doesn't want you to build forts here. The French guy gives him some very nice wine and then tells him to get lost.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. It's been real,
George.
Yeah, here's some champagne, a GTFO. I'm going to do what I want. You don't even know where this fort is. I bet you couldn't even find your way back here.
Yeah.
I'm building it. So on the way back, there's this Lenape guide from the Lenape tribe. He, at some point, while they're going back, George is the head of this expedition. This dude pulls a rifle on George and fires at him from 15 feet away, but he misses.
For no reason, just...
No, because the French put him up to it. Like, kill this guy on the way. Like, here's $20, kill this guy on your way back.
Oh, tried to assassinate GW.
Tried to assassinate him, yeah.
Big
Pulls
mistake,
a rifle on him, shoots him, misses. And this is the old days with the flintlock, so it takes you, 45 seconds to reload your weapon. Washington and Christopher Gist tackle the guy. Gist is like, let's kill him. And George is like, no, we're not going to kill this guy. We're not going to execute him. Just let him go. Well, you let him go, and we'll go this other way, and we'll hike through the night so he can't follow us. But I don't want to just murder this guy.
Dang.
Right.
George taking the high road.
Yeah. This is going to come back. Like this is going to be a theme for George.
This is a theme for George. Mm-hmm. Was he religious? I wonder if he was religious.
He was religious, but he was also, he wasn't well educated. He did later in his life. He was reading a lot of the French Revolutionary mentality stuff. So he was very, he was religious, but he was also like, we need to, it's inherently anti-religious at this time to say we shouldn't have a king, because the idea of the king is God has picked this person to rule over you.
Right.
And so saying like, I don't agree with that is inherently anti-religious, even though he was like, he did go to church and he was a God-fearing person. He is not as religious. He's like less religious than the normal person at this time period, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't.
Such a convenient setup they had, those kings. They really set that up to their own advantage, huh? Smart.
Yeah, I don't care if you don't like me, but like, you don't like God, really?
Yeah,
because God says I should be in charge of you. I don't know, man.
You know what? This isn't my department. I'll have to get a manager, and the manager is God. So
yeah,
I don't know.
And like, if you kill me, my kid's king next, and
yeah,
because God wants to be in my bloodline. Yeah,
stay in your lane, buddy.
I'm racist against anyone who's not a member of my family.
Yeah. Racist, classist, all the ists.
Everything
about everybody.
God wants me to dominate you in any way I see fit. So
just ask him. He said it right here in this book that I wrote.
Mm-hmm. Everybody agrees with me. Just ask him. Okay. So they get back. George really wants to get this message back to the governor. So they start moving ahead. Him and Christopher Gist move a little bit ahead of the rest of the group. They get to the Allegheny River, and they expect it to be frozen so they can walk over it because it's winter, but it's not. It's like an ice sludge Slurpee, just mush. So what do you do to cross that? They had one hatchet, so they made a raft. They made a wooden raft with a hatchet and just stuff they found in the forest. They made a raft and tried to raft the Allegheny River.
Yikes. This doesn't sound like it's going to go well.
George falls off the raft into the water. He's, this is one of these things where like you die of hypothermia within like 30 seconds. He finds a log and pulls himself onto an island, which still exists today. It's called Washington's Landing, Pittsburgh.
Is that in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, it's in Pennsylvania. Like I love it.
It's so on brand for Pennsylvanians. That's so on brand.
Yep. It's near Pittsburgh. It's called Washington's Landing, which I just love because he just landed there. Literally just crashed there, just save his own life. And so Gist, the raft doesn't make it. Gist and George end up on this island. Island is very generous. This is like a Captain Jack Sparrow. Like you're on a strip of land that's not in the water.
Yeah,
they're cold and wet. It's nighttime. They don't have any gear to make a fire. They have to sleep through like sub-zero temperatures just in the open ground. Gist gets frostbite on all of his fingers and toes, but George is fine. He just wakes up the next day and he's like, let's get going.
Unscathed.
He's untouchable. This is going to keep coming up too. He's just invincible. He's an invincible person. You can't hurt him. He's fine. They go back to deliver the message, and they deliver the message to the governor, and the governor is like, what did they say? And he's like, oh, they said get lost. And he's like, all right, we're going to teach these guys a lesson. So they make George a lieutenant colonel in the Virginia militia. He becomes immediately the highest rank. He's 22 years old at this point. He's immediately the highest ranking soldier in the continental, highest ranking American born soldier in the British Army.
Dang. Yeah. They're like, man, this guy's tough.
Yeah, this guy could do it. Like you're in charge now. So they make him charge. They give him 160 guys and they're like, here's what we got to do. Go and build a fort like in their territory. Or in our territory, but that they think is their territory. So they give him the coordinates of what is today Pittsburgh. And they're like, go build a city there.
Build Pittsburgh.
Go build Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Give him a subpar football team.
And so he travels out to Pittsburgh to build Pittsburgh. But when he gets there, the French already built it. It's called Fort Duquesne. And the French already built Pittsburgh before he got there. And so he gets there and he's like, oh, wait, actually, I'm incredibly outnumbered here.
Oh, my God.
There's a lot of French guys here and they already built a fort where I was supposed to build my fort. So he hangs out to wait for reinforcements. But that guy, Tanasharis and the Half King, is in his group with him. And he's leading a scouting party that runs into a group of sleeping French soldiers.
Oh, I think I've heard this. I've heard about this. The
story goes, we don't know who fired the first shot.
Right. Yeah.
Except that Washington's guys were awake and the French guys were sleeping.
So it's like Han Solo in 1700.
Yeah. We don't know who fired the first shot on this one, but a bunch of French guys died.
Yeah.
And no Continentals or British died. The commander of the French force is this guy, Joseph Coulon de Jumonville. He's wounded and Washington is there. Washington goes up and he's like trying to talk to the guy. He's like, hey, what are you okay? He's like, no, I'm not okay. And also like, we're not soldiers. This is a diplomatic mission. We were like going to go try to talk to you guys. But as he's talking, the story goes, as he's talking, Tanasharis and the Half King walks up, starts speaking French to the dude, which George doesn't understand, and then whacks him on the head with a tomahawk and kills him. Now,
dang.
It turns out, the story goes that Tanasharis and the Half King's dad had been boiled alive by the French.
Oh, well, then that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. And that, he hadn't really disclosed that to George.
I mean, how do you bring that up in conversation? Like, how was your day? I know. Lost our dad today. He got boiled. I mean, just what a way to go.
So Tanasharis and the Half King is kind of like, you're going to go talk to the French? I would love to come with you.
Yeah.
I would love to come talk to them. Let's do it. I'll go. I'll be the representative of the Iroquois nation. Let's go.
And they just brings that back home. Like his rep just like went way up.
Yep. And so the French are obviously mad about this. They mobilize that force from the fort. They attack George. He's outnumbered 10-1. He builds this little crappy fort to try to basically like a snow fort to try to defend himself. They surround him. He surrenders. He's
and all of his people. Yeah,
him and his guys. Like he's got 160 guys, but they have like 1,000, right, with cannons and stuff. Like you can't fight these guys. He gives up.
Yeah.
And the French, as part of his surrender, they make him sign this document in French, which George doesn't speak. And the document basically says, I assassinated like a diplomatic envoy on purpose because, I hate the French or whatever. And they use that as the justification to attack England. Brings England and France into the 7 Years' War. This is the beginning of the French and Indian War. George Washington literally like accidentally started the French and Indian War single-handedly.
Well, so, won a war, also started a war. So maybe
Yes.
we're even.
Yeah. The British diplomat Henry Horace Walpole said the volley fired by a young Virginian in the backwoods of America set the world on fire. and George quits. He quits the army. He's like, I'm done. This sucks. He surrenders.
Yeah.
Surrendering sucks. I resign my commission. That's it. Tennis Sheriff and the Half King gets pneumonia and dies like very soon after this. But like George is just like, I give up. I'm done. Like I have messed up enough.
I love it. They captured that. That was back in the day when they're like, you surrender, and then they just like let you go, like sign this document, and then you'll be sent.
Are you sorry? Are you sure you're sorry?
Yeah.
I promise I will never do it again. Okay.
say uncle.
Would you like some wine?
Like, actually, there's like wolves and bears and stuff, so we need all the 6'2" people we can get. So like, let's just like be friends.
Yes. Yeah, you can go home now. Good luck. Good luck making it back to wherever you came from.
Yeah. Death sentences just like go off into the woods.
Death sentences, shake hands, have a great day. See you. Have a great afternoon. Okay. So he goes back a year later. He's resigned. He's retired. He's like, forget it. I'm just going to go back to being a farmer. And a year later, the British, of course, like the war is on now. Like the French and Indian War has begun. The British send 2 regiments of like hardened veterans to come out here and deal with the French. They're led by a general named Edward Braddock. He's a 45-year veteran, Coldstream Guards. He shows up with 2 regiments of the British Army. They're going to go to Fort Duquesne and they're going to take it. They're going to burn Pittsburgh to the ground and build a new Pittsburgh on top. And Braddock is like, well, we need this guy. Get this Washington guy because he's been there. Right. He knows the route, right? This guy knows the wilderness. He knows the terrain. We need him. Yeah. He doesn't get to be a British officer, but he's like an assistant. He's like a secretary basically to Braddock. And they actually get along really well. Like they become friends. And Washington's trying to warn him. He's like, look, the French are tough. They have like, the British have been not very kind to the indigenous peoples of the Americas, but the French have been generally okay, except for boiling that one guy. So they don't like the British and they side with the French. Right. And Washington tries to warn Braddock, and Braddock says, quote, "The Indians may be formidable to your raw American militia, but upon the king's regular and disciplined troops, sir, it is impossible that they should make any impression."
All right, bro. All right. How you like these tomahawks over here?
There's a little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah, a little bit. There is. But like, we got to put up a good fight.
Yes. So they march 2,100 redcoats into the wilderness to capture Fort Duquesne. The trip sucks. George gets dysentery. So like Oregon Trail vibes. He has to sit on a pillow on his horse because his ass hurts so much from the dysentery and the hemorrhoids and stuff.
Not tough guy vibes at all.
No, just miserable. He rides on it. They wanted him to ride, like usually when this happened, because this is not that uncommon, you usually ride in a wagon. And he's like, I'm not riding on a wagon.
I'm not riding in no wagon.
Yeah, people will never respect me again. I'm riding my horse.
On this pillow.
I see like an extra padded saddle because this is super uncomfortable.
A hemorrhoid pillow, essentially, this guy's riding on with. Exactly.
It's like an inflatable inner tube. Yeah. And they're ambushed by the French and the Seneca and Iroquois. And the French are using tactics that we're going to see later with the American Revolution. They are using sniper rifles to pick off officers.
Yeah, like guerrilla tactics, and like not like stand in a line and march at each other in a straight line and just.
Nope.
Who thought of that? How'd they pitch that? Like, here's what we're gonna do. Here, I got a great idea. Just stand like you. Yeah, no, right next to him, and then you right next to him. Don't duck. Look, don't.
What are you, a coward?
Yeah. I don't want any running. Mm-hmm. Oh man.
Yep. So they start shooting. They shoot all the officers. Braddock's mortally wounded immediately. Of the 85 British officers, 70 something go down. George soon finds himself in charge. He's the only British officer still on a horse because they're all dead or wounded. the soldiers are panicking because they're being attacked from all sides by enemies they can't see. And George is trying. He's like, we've lost, but I'm going to try to save the army. Right. So he's riding up and down the battlements trying to get his guys out of this trap. They've walked into a trap. And now they're under attack. He gets 2 horses shot out from under him. So he loses that pillow. And he's still getting on horses. He's on his 3rd horse now. He's riding up and down the line trying to yell and scream at guys. He gets 4 bullet holes through his coat, 1 more in his hat, but he doesn't get wounded at all.
Miss me.
There's a story that like 15 something years after this battle, he meets a Seneca chief named Gayasuda, who was the Seneca here are on the side of Pontiac. Like this is like the Pontiac rebellion kind of thing. So Chief Pontiac, one of his top guys is this guy Gayasuda, and he says he meets George Washington at a party like 15 years after this battle, and he was like, "You were a major target for us because you were the giantest dude in the British Army. You're obviously an officer. You're riding on a white horse. We wanted to shoot you right away. But at a certain point, so many guys had shot at you and nobody could hit you that we gave up because we thought you had some weird magical protection that we couldn't hit
we
you.
thought you were a god or like some sort of demon.
So you were favored by the gods. The spirits, somebody favored you, so we just stopped trying to shoot you at a certain point because we realized we were never going to hit you.
Dude, save the bullets or whatever. They're shooting arrows, I guess.
Yeah, everything. And so that's it. He's able to get a lot of his troops out of there. He gets Braddock out of there. Braddock's last words, remember Braddock had said, like, it's impossible they should make any impression. Braddock's last words were, "Who would have thought it?"
Basically, whoopsie.
Don't tell my kids about this.
Yeah, my bad. But like, definitely that's badass to be like, I mean, we did George Washington in a battle and we did quite a bit of research, but it was like later on, mostly like after he's become president stuff. But like, definitely his history is like, but kind of like the level of individual badassery of any human being in 1700, like, is triple and quadruple over anybody today. Like somebody today's like, I changed the tire. Pretty badass. They're like, yeah. I cut a horse open, stripped naked, and lied in it so I could stay warm for a winter. I
think about this a lot because I'm like, when I was growing up, I never thought I was like never thought I was like tough, right? Because I like knew guys who could like fix cars with their hands. They had like the calloused ass, like grease hands and stuff. And I was like, now I feel like I'm kind of badass because I can call AAA.
Yeah, exactly.
Fix my tire for me. Right? Like, I feel like that's the bar now.
I know the number by heart.
Yeah, no, I get you. It's totally that. But like you mentioned, we're going to get into the stuff he's more famous for. But I always think that the early stuff's so interesting because he's like 23 at this point. He survived an assassination attempt. He should have died from smallpox. He should have died from that assassination attempt. He should have died from hypothermia. He should have died from frostbite. He should have died at this battle. They shot however many bullets at him, right? They didn't hit him. He's a survivor. He might not be the smart. He's lost every battle we've seen him in right now. He's not the smartest or the toughest, or he's not the smartest or like the most brilliant, but like he just keeps going.
Keeps showing up. He just keeps showing up.
Never quits.
I wonder if he's thought of himself as lucky or as indestructible. Like internal, or if he even thought at all. He was more like,
he cultivated the thought among his people that he was like he definitely, whatever he believed, he wanted his men to believe that he was the love the smell of napalm in the morning, right? Where he wanted his guys to think that like, I am invincible, right?
Yeah, sure.
Even with the religious stuff, like God has chosen me. Like I'm not going to get touched. I'm okay. Like if you're with me, it's going to be fine.
It's like, it's that weird window of history in 1700 when like the technology of weaponry is starting to level the playing field, but it's not completely leveled the playing field. Like now in war, it's like you can be like a nerdy dude and like destroy a whole army. But back in the day, if you're using swords and you meet LeBron James on the field, you're in trouble. And like, or like one figure who feels like indestructible could like sway. That's who I want to follow. That's who becomes king. It's interesting.
Right. There's a story where some of the guys in his unit are having, some of the guys in his army are having like a strength competition. This is like what people did before the internet, was these guys in the army were trying to see how far they could throw this iron bar.
Sure.
And George, it's causing a lot of noise outside of George's command tent. And he walks out there and he picks up the bar with one arm, and he's 47 years old at this point, and he throws it farther than any of these 20-year-old guys did. And he's like, if anybody beats my record, come find me. And he like goes back into his tent.
Oh yeah. Old man strength right there.
Yeah, it's like, this is what you want. This is what you want of a leader. Yes, sir. I will follow you when you tell me to bayonet charge a British army that has more guys than me. I will follow you.
Yeah. It's kind of like he's running down there to bayonet. If you don't run after and follow him, you're going to be without him. So you might as well follow him, because you're kind of screwed without it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell one more story before we go to this break. And in 1775, the colonies go into revolt against the British Army. George at this point is the highest ranking officer that has ever been in the colonial militia. He is the most famous soldier in America. And when the war starts, the Continental Congress is meeting in Philadelphia, and Washington just walks. He's not invited. He walks through the front door in his uniform, and he just sits down. He doesn't give a speech. He doesn't lobby for the job or anything. John Adams is like, I think this guy should be the commander of our army. And everybody's like, yep.
Gangster. Keep it gangster, y'all. Keep it gangster. Heck yeah. I mean, that's definitely how they portray him that way in Hamilton, for sure. Yeah. If you've seen that play, it's like he was like a superhero. There was no sports. There was war. So like if they could commentate war back then, it would have been like, and George Washington slays. It would be like, he would be the Babe Ruth
with the steel chair.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's it. He agrees. They want him to lead the army. He says, I don't want a salary. I just want my expenses paid. And they're like, sure. But he did keep all of his receipts, especially for like the dinners with the fancy wine, like that French guy had with him. Like, he kept the receipts for that and was like, you got paid back for that wine. Because
they gave you a receipt back then? They gave you, like, how did that work?
Maybe he wrote them himself. I don't know. But he was like, you owe me for this fancy wine I bought.
Right? Just write down a receipt. How do I know this is true? Well, I wrote it down.
Well, I'm George Washington. Do you not believe me?
Yeah. See that money you're going to pay me with? That's me.
Yeah, it's got my face on it. So that's mine. You owe me $50 for that wine. Okay, we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. We are at 1775. The war has begun. We are at the Siege of Boston. This is the first major battle of the war. George Washington goes out there to assess the army. The war has already started when he becomes the commander-in-chief of the army. He goes out there and he finds 14,000 guys outside Boston with no uniforms, very little discipline, almost no ammo. They don't know how to march. They don't know how to fight. They don't know how to dig latrines for their camp so they don't all get dysentery. And a lot of these guys have smallpox, which you'll remember George already had.
Right. So survived. Is smallpox, I think, like chickenpox, if you get smallpox and live, I feel like you're resistant against it later.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. Smallpox is gone now because we've eradicated it, but it is the similar strain of chickenpox, but it's the same thing. If you've had it once, you can't get it again. And George already had it.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that invincible myth. And so when these guys show up, he's like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start wearing these, we can't afford uniforms, but everybody wear blue. And like, here's how you shoot your gun. You got to dig a latrine so you don't get sick. You got to do this. You got to do this. You guys are in this group. This is called a regiment. This is how you march. You got to stand next to each other. And then he starts going into the hospitals where all these people are dying of smallpox. And he's just walking through there like he owns the place because he knows he can't get it. And everybody's just like,
does he know? Do they know that though? Or is he just like, I already beat this?
No, they know it. They know that once you had it, you can't get it again.
Fair.
So to the degree where he takes a really radical step. So he goes through and he's walking through these hospitals and people are like, this guy's crazy. Like he's so badass. But then what he does is he inoculates the army against smallpox. And the way they do this in this time is kind of weird. They take a sewing needle and they put smallpox on it and they give you 3 stitches.
And they just give you that tiny bit of the smallpox virus.
They give
and
you
then
3 stitches with a smallpox needle.
Huh.
It is extremely controversial at the time. Nobody really was sure if it would work or not. And some people actually get sick and die from it. So like it was technically illegal in the colonies, but he does it to all of his soldiers to inoculate them from smallpox.
And it works on the most part.
And it works for the most part. Yeah.
That's crazy. I'm sure they have some expression in that maybe has gone out of style already, but like 3 stitches to the wind or something like that, you know, like something that like comes from there.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So he basically gives them wounds and rubs smallpox into it so that they don't die from it. But this will like keep a lot of his army alive later on as well. He knows he doesn't have enough guys to take Boston. So he sends Henry Knox, who's also a badass. He sends Henry Knox to Fort Ticonderoga. Henry Knox steals 60 cannons from Fort Ticonderoga, drags them back down the mountain in the snow. George puts them up on all of the heights overlooking Boston overnight. So when the British wake up one morning, they see 60 cannons pointing down at them. And they're just like, we surrender.
Hello. Wow. Yeah. Wasn't Hamilton on that? I feel like Hamilton might have been as a part of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. Just
stealing cannons.
They show up at Fort Ticonderoga. The British officer is there. They capture him in his underwear. There's like 10 guys guarding the base because they weren't expecting, it's the winter. They're not expecting anybody to come up this mountain and find them.
Right.
And then they steal 60 cannons. They drag them all down this hill and they put them up on the heights. Henry Knox is like a genius for being able to do it. Henry Knox was like a bookseller. Wow. And he was like 300 pounds. And he like climbs this mountain and like does all this
300 pounds in 1700? Like
he was rich.
Yeah, okay, I guess so. Yeah.
And so they take Boston, and this is a big victory for George, right? And people start to join the revolution. And now we have like George also does this interesting thing where he's from Virginia, and the revolution up to this point is from Boston. And so now we've kind of uniting the North and the South.
Right.
Everybody's kind of, because there was a divide at this time as well. And he kind of unites this a little bit. So, okay, they win, but the British are mad. They have the best army in the world. They have the best navy in the world. They send 32,000 guys to attack New York City.
Golly.
Washington has 16,000 guys who don't have bayonets. They don't have, they're using their rifle. They're wearing their clothes from home. They're carrying their rifles they used to hunt bears. They're inexperienced. They're under-equipped. They're crushed horribly at this battle.
Yeah. I remember this. Like he split his forces, and like it's so weird when they talk about the Battle of Brooklyn, because when you hear about Brooklyn, I think about like Jay-Z and like Brooklyn, and back then it was like a swamp, and like Long Island, like we lost Long Island. You're like, oh no, not it's Sunrise Boulevard or whatever. You're like, no, it's a swamp.
Yeah, I mean it was a big city at the time, right? I always think Battle of Brooklyn. I always think World War Z. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what I think is Gangs of New York. I'm always like, oh yeah, it's Daniel Day-Lewis and Knives and Leonardo DiCaprio over there.
It was kind of that, except that like the Americans lost, like the bad guys won this battle. The British. I mean, I don't want to say the British were the bad guys, but like George Washington's guys lose. In this battle. He is going to do a thing that. So, I mean, if we're keeping score at home, he's lost significantly more battles than he's won. But one thing he does well is that he loses well. He never gets destroyed personally or professionally. Right. He's able to escape 9,000 of his guys across the East River at night in the fog by basically calling every boat in the colonies to come rescue him. They put like rags and shirts around the oars so they don't make noise to try to just escape.
Silencers. Hell yeah.
Try get us out of here. We got to escape. We're going to die. They get out, they flee across New York, New Jersey. His army's like all deserting him and leaving him because they're not getting paid. They're freezing. They don't have gear. They're starving. They're not getting fed. This is the like Thomas Paine, like these are the times that try men's souls. He went into the Battle of New York City with 16,000 guys. He escaped with 9,000. By the time he crosses into Pennsylvania, he's got 3,000.
Right? Because they abandoned them. They just
they keep abandoned. They're just going home. Like they're not soldiers. They're revolutionaries, but they're just farmers, right? They gotta go home and like plant their crops or their family's gonna die, right? And they're not getting paid. They're not getting fed. So for a lot of people, this looks like it's the end, right? They had 16,000, now they got 3. It's the winter. We're going into the winter. This sucks. So this is where we get George is like, I have to do something insane. I have to do something crazy to like re-energize my people.
That Delaware, baby, that Christmas Day.
Yeah, this is Christmas Eve, 1776. Never underestimate the Americans will sail across a frozen river to kill you in your sleep on Christmas.
Well, George has done that before to those French folks. They're like,
Yep.
Here's listen, guys, there's a really great way to like take advantage of people. Kill them while they're asleep. They don't even know you're coming.
I haven't been able to win any battles while the other team's awake.
Yeah.
So
just drink this coffee. We'll stay up all night.
Yep. Pass out some Adderall, coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What's Adderall?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It cures smallpox. You're fine.
It's fine. Just chew the sleep. It'll be good. We're all good. It's the coca plant. It'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, they cross the frozen Delaware River in the middle of the night. The same guys. It's a lot of these Massachusetts guys. So like a lot of the dudes who do the boating here are the Massachusetts militia, who were like whalers and like boaters and sailor guys, fishermen.
They're already tough. They're already
tough. They're like, whatever, you're gonna cross a frozen river in the middle of the night.
Whatever, kid. I do this in my sleep on the weekends with my mom. It's like Larry Bird in a boat, just like
Yep. I worked in construction in Boston for a long time. I can't do the accent. I wish I could, but like I met a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I'm from there. It's like a warm bath, man. Once you go there, you can't forget it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he crosses the Delaware River in the middle of the night. This is that famous picture we always see. He crosses it in a blizzard on Christmas Eve. He attacks the Hessians while they're sleeping. He leads the charge personally on his white horse, and in 45 minutes they capture 1,000 Hessians without losing a guy. And this is just oh, cool. We won one. We can beat these guys. We won at Boston. We won here. And, the Brits, of course, are mad. They fight Washington at Brandywine. They defeat him. They capture Philadelphia. Congress flees. They burn Philadelphia.
Run away!
Yeah, he tries to counterattack them to like retake it. He fails. It's a brave attack, but he loses. Right? Like they're getting crushed.
But it just stays in the fight. He just never loses. He loses the battle, not the war. He just keeps going.
Keeps going, right? He sends Gates up north to fight at Saratoga, and they win, right? I did an episode on Daniel Morgan. I did one actually on Benedict Arnold, friend of the show, Benedict Arnold.
Yeah, okay, great.
And they win. And one thing that's happening here is that like, the Americans can't win without the French helping, and the French are watching, and they're like impressed by how tough, as much as George Washington has not endeared himself to the French, they hate the British more than they hate him personally.
They just hate each other so much.
Yeah. So, okay. He goes into the Continental Army at this point, though, is talking about replacing him, right? Because General Gates wins Saratoga. They're like, maybe we should replace this guy. But they stick with him. He goes into Valley Forge. It's this miserable winter. He's trying so hard to keep the army together. They all want to leave. This is where he throws that iron bar. There's a part here where like he's wrestling some of these other guys who think they're tough to just show him how tough he is. But they train these guys over the course of this winter, and he trains them into an army. And when 1778 rolls around, they win the Battle of Monmouth. And it's this brilliant attack. It's 100-degree heat. He launches this attack that he thinks is going to win. The guy he puts in charge of the attack is a guy named Charles Lee, who sucks. Charles Lee retreats, runs away. Washington comes out and rides out at him, and Charles Lee's like, we can't win. And Washington just starts swearing at him. And the story goes that he swears at him so much that like it kills vegetation in like a 12-mile radius. There was a story later. Somebody asked Major General Charles Scott, who was there for the meeting. They were like, did George Washington really swear at Charles Lee? And Scott says, quote, "Yes, sir. He swore on that day till the leaves shook on the trees. Never have I enjoyed such swearing before or since. Sir, on that ever memorable day, he swore like an angel from heaven."
That's the email? I mean, no one writes emails like that anymore.
That's it. So he just curses so much of this guy. He personally takes over, personally leads the charge on his white horse. The white horse dies of heat stroke while he's riding it into battle. He gets off and gets on a different horse, rides that one into the battle.
Damn.
And they win.
He's killed a lot of horses, man.
He's killed a lot of horses.
Horses are like, I don't want to ride. Nah, man, give me somebody else. Like, I don't want.
You're good,
no.
man.
I'm good.
I'm not white. I'm gray.
Yeah, I'm a donkey.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're gonna get to that too. Okay, so he can't retake New York City because there's too many British there, but they're at a stalemate in the north. Washington sets up a big spy network in New York City. The war moves down to the south. France eventually joins, which is the thing that we like to kind of step over when we talk about American history, but we could not have won this war without the French. But Washington fakes like he's going to attack New York City, especially using this spy network that he's installed. And there's a great show about this. Like, there's a Culper ring. It's like super cool. That's how they found Benedict Arnold before he betrayed. Yeah. There's a whole episode about the Culper ring. But he uses his spies to fake like he's going to attack New York City. And then he marches his whole army 400 miles south without anybody knowing and attacks Yorktown and captures it and wins the revolution.
Bong, bong. Gotcha.
And that's it. Yeah.
Man. Imagine a time when you could march thousands of people 400 miles and no one knows.
They were sitting there waiting. They reinforced New York because they were waiting for the attack there, and it never came.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, he certified badassery.
Yes, exactly. And so the war ends. And one thing that happens is you've got these soldiers who like have stuck with him, right? And these guys who were like, they were deserting, but he convinces them to stay. We're not getting paid. We're not getting fed. The war ends. They're still not getting paid. Congress is trying to make a constitution, all this stuff. They're like, hey, we're going to seize Congress. We're just going to take over. We're going to make it a military dictatorship. You're going to be the king. And Washington comes in and he's like, or no, they weren't going to make him the king. They were going to take over and set up a military dictatorship. They were going to make him the king, but they hadn't told him about it. They didn't invite him to the meeting, but he finds out about it and he shows up there and he enters the meeting and he's like, he's going to go read. And George Washington is this like invincible, badass, untouchable guy as far as they're concerned. They followed him through 7 years of war now.
Yeah. It's like Maximus in Gladiator.
Yes. So he goes in there and he's going to read something. He was going to give this big speech to like convince them to not overthrow Congress. But in doing that, he goes to read it and he can't read it. He makes this show of like pulling out glasses and putting on glasses, which was a sign of weakness at the time. And he says, "Gentlemen, you must pardon me. I have grown gray in your service and now find myself going quite blind." And all the guys in the room just start crying because they're like, "George, I'm sorry. We'll do whatever you want."
Whatever you want.
It's like your dad being like sad for the first time. Yeah. You're like, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
By the way, at this point, he's like 43.
Right. Yeah.
I have another 5 years of life and I will be an old man.
Yeah. So the war ends. He resigns. He says, having now finished the work assigned me, I retire from the great theater of action. And George III, the King of England, was convinced that George Washington was just going to take over as king because he can. Everybody loves him. If he wanted to be king, he'd be king of America. It'd be easy for him to do that. And so he retires and he goes back to his farm. And somebody tells George III this, and George says, if he did that, he's the greatest man in the world.
Yeah.
It's like no human being would ever do this.
Bro. Yep.
He does. He goes back home. He makes whiskey. He tries to breed the perfect mule. He has this weird obsession with trying to breed mules.
Huh.
He gets a mule from the King of Spain as a present. And he's like, mules are cool because they do a lot of hard work for farms in America. I'm going to make the perfect American mule. So he does this whole like breeding thing with mules where he wants to make the perfect American mule. So you're joking about the donkeys, but like,
yeah, very funny. That was on purpose. I knew that. That's why.
Oh, you were setting up that joke.
Yeah. Call back.
Yeah, he's called back into service in 1789 when they make him president. He doesn't campaign for it, but he gets unanimously elected president. He's the only president that ever got unanimously elected president. He realizes he doesn't really know that much about this stuff, so he gets smart guys to work with him. He brings in Jefferson and Hamilton, who are two smart guys who hate each other, and he gives them both like positions of power and lets them argue with each other because he doesn't want anybody to be in charge.
But that's brilliant. Like that's inherently brilliant for him to get two people who are polar opposites. So he has two sides of the coin. Like, you know, I guess when you're fighting for your life and you're doing these things like on the battlefield, when you're doing it just in a room discussing politics, it's like not that big of a deal. You're like, yeah, this seems to work when I'm getting, you know, bullets shot at me and people are dying of awful diseases all around me. So probably it's going to work here in this like room full of powdered wigs. So let's try this.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. When I want you to go on this attack, I need you to not question me. But if we're trying to build a government, he was like, you know, if everybody agrees with each other, we just have another king.
Yeah.
I need to bring in people who argue with each other, because the only way that this government works is if everybody's arguing with each other and we come up with something that makes everybody a little bit angry. But that's how we have, like, that's how democracy works. Like, we all try to find something that's okay for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And so he kind of pulls that in, and that's how he runs his government, right? He's like, we don't want to, he does this proclamation of neutrality. We're not going to get involved in anybody else's wars. We got our own problems. We're going to brings in a bunch of people to like argue with each other to try to figure out what's the best way to make this work, because he doesn't want a kingdom. So he doesn't want to have a bunch of yes men. He wants to have a bunch of no men that argue with him. And then he does, there's this whiskey rebellion in Pennsylvania where these whiskey farmers like raise up arms. He decides like, I'll ride out and fight them if that's what it's going to take. So he leads the army. It's the only time a sitting president has ever led an army in the field. He leads this army out.
It was like a tax on whiskey, I think, was that what started that?
Yeah, it was a tax on whiskey, and the whiskey farmers rebel, and he says, all right, fine, I'll march out against them. And he leads this army against them. And they give up the second they hear that George Washington is like marching against them. They're like, forget it, we're good. They're
like, Michael Jordan's coming. We're not, you guys can play.
We're good. Yeah, actually, I'm sorry.
My bad.
And that's it. He wins the presidency twice, and then they're like, just do it a third time, and he's like, no. And he's just like, I'm going to go home. I want to go live on my farm. And he goes back home, and the 2 terms that he served is like the standard for presidents now. It's not encoded into anything, but because he did it, nobody's really supposed to do it more than twice.
Yeah, unless there's a world war and you're a Roosevelt, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
That takes a lot of self-restraint. Well, actually, I don't know. Like, I don't know that being the president is the best, like, funnest thing. It's like the most powerful thing, but like, yeah.
He didn't want to be president, and he didn't like it that much. He was just like, I have to do this because I'm the only thing that's keeping this experiment. Like, what they're doing is extremely radical, right? This is the first time in history that, since like ancient Greece, that we've had not a king, right? What they're doing is radicalized, like super out there. And he's like, I want this to work. And the only way for that to work is for me to show up and personally make this happen with my physical presence. So I'll do that. But like, he didn't love it.
It's like a hippie commune of the time. Like, they're like, they'll never make it work without a king. What are they going to share everything?
Yeah.
Wow.
Nobody believed it could work. And they were just, King George was like, you'll be back, right?
Yeah.
You'll have a king, or you'll beg for me to come back. And it worked because he was able to use his personal charisma to make that happen. Even though he, didn't have, he was a soldier. He wasn't a politician or a statesman or any of that. Like, he made it work, right? His own personality. So he dies in 1799 at age 67. He's riding around in a snowstorm to check on his farm during the storm, and he gets sick and he dies. And his last words on his deathbed, he's like taking his own pulse, and people are like, I think you're going to die, George. And he's like, 'tis well.
Yeah, good. I'm tired. I'm
67. Nobody lives past 30.
No one lives.
I've lived like 3 lifetimes.
Gosh, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. And here's something that we haven't talked about much, but we should talk about. He was a slaveholder. And as he, in his early life, he kind of started off accepting this as just, this is the way the world works, right? This was the world that he was born into, and he accepted like, this is the way that the world works. But over the course of his life, he changed his mind on it. He had guys around him like Hamilton and Lafayette who were really abolitionist, and they kind of pushed him to be like, hey, you fought for like all people to be free, so all people should be free. And he didn't do a lot politically to help the anti-slavery movement because he was worried that the South would secede as soon as he pressed any of this stuff. He was trying to keep the country together. Yeah. But he privately had a lot of conflict about this. And then on his death, he frees the 123 enslaved people at Mount Vernon, which is his estate. He's the only slaveholding founding father who freed his slaves upon his death. And as part of that deal, he mandated that the younger enslaved people would be taught to read and write and be taught a trade, and that the older people should be supported by his estate for the rest of their lives. So we're in like this is a weird time period and a weird spot for this, but like,
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's like, you're free in the state of Virginia, which is awful to Black people now. And also you've been living here this whole time. Good luck. You can earn no money. You can vote. Like, what an awful time.
It's just, I mean, this is a hard thing to talk about when we talk about this time period. But, as far as as far as Washington goes, he was progressive for the time, which is still extremely not progressive for our current time period.
Yeah. Good GW. He gets he did what he could. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 160 slaves. That's
123.
123. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But that's part of the story, so we have to mention it.
That's a different story. Yeah, that's a.
Yes.
I wonder what his treatment of, those people were. It's awful to keep people in bondage, but I'm sure there are some people who were much more cruel than others. What a dark conversation that would be.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to talk about, but we do have to mention it when we talk about George, because he did a lot of really badass things, and this is a thing that it makes it difficult to kind of process him from a modern standpoint.
Yeah, it's not also like, hey, listen, I'm going to set you guys all free. When I don't need you anymore because I'm dead.
Right. Right. Yeah. But this is also kind of makes you the Bernie Sanders of 1780. Or whatever, Virginia. Exactly. Right.
But can we go now? No, not now.
Yeah.
When I'm dead.
Yeah.
Haven't you survived smallpox and you're never going to die?
Can't you not be killed by conventional means?
Right, you've survived everything. Everyone's gonna die before you, George. I don't know. Let me just take this walk.
Let me go check on my farm in the snowstorm here. Yeah, exactly. See what happens. All right. Well, let's kind of talk about George here. So he lost basically all of his military battles, but he's still remembered as one of America's greatest generals. We could not have won the American Revolution without him. He did create 11,000. He did have a distillery that produced 11,000 gallons of whiskey. He was an undefeated wrestling champion. He's on a bunch of our money. A bunch of stuff in our country is named after him, including the Capitol, my home state. And I don't know. I like to end these by being like, what's the lesson here? What do we learn from the story of George Washington?
Yikes. I mean, I feel like it's win the battle, lose the battle, not the war, if you're still in the fight, you haven't lost yet. You know?
As long as you're breathing, you can still keep going, right?
Yeah.
You're never out of it. Never give up.
Yeah. And you don't have to be the smartest or the most well-trained or whatever. There's a certain value to having lived a life, all the days in the woods and the military stuff when he was young, and you can't read that in a book. So don't go to school, kids. So drop out of school is what we're saying.
It's pointless. Yeah, there's no point in going to school. That's the lesson. Forget it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just go into the forest with a knife.
Yeah.
Swim a frozen river. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be
all worked out. Okay, well, happy 294th birthday to George Washington on the 22nd. Lloyd, this is the part of the show where we would usually have a rap battle, but unfortunately we're out of time. So,
all right.
Next time.
I wrote all these bars though.
Lloyd, where can people find your stuff online?
You can find me at youtube.com/ERB, Epic Rap Battles of History. Just look it up. And then I got my own channel, youtube.com/EpicLLOYD. So that's kind of more rap music, less history. But yeah, it's all good stuff.
All right. Well, Lloyd, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was really awesome to talk to you. I've been a big fan for a long time, so it's really cool to get to meet you in person for real.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. This is cool. I learned a ton, actually. I thought I knew, but I've learned a lot more.
Excellent. I'm glad. All right. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you out there for listening. We do this every week. So if you liked it, please like and subscribe and do all of that stuff. So, all right. We will see you next week. And until then, stay badass. Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content and $7 Productions. Executive producers are Dwayne Johnson, Danny Garcia, Andrew Jacobs, Hiram Garcia, Brian Gewirtz, Frankie Chaparino, and of course, me, Ben Thompson. Writing is by me and my semi-regular but always awesome co-host, Dr. Patricia Larish. Story editing by Ian Jacobs. Our mixing, music, and sound design is done by the incomparable Jude Brewer. Production support by Jean McHale-Waite. Badass of the Week is based on my website, badassoftheweek.com, where you can read all sorts of stories about other badasses. If you want to reach out with questions or ideas, you can email us at badasspodcast@badassoftheweek.com. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, follow, listen, tell your friends, and tell your enemies. And please leave us a review. If you want to support Badass of the Week, please check out our Patreon page. We'll be back next week with another one.